Within Oregon's scenic Cascade Mountain Range, there are a wide range of active volcanoes which have erupted in the last 10,000 years. Ranging from the vast Holocene caldera of Crater Lake to the cluster of stratovolcanoes of the Three Sisters to the shield volcano of Belknap Crater, there are a wide variety of features. Yet, it might come as a surprise to some people that the Cascade Range doesn't contain all of the state's volcanoes. As to the east, there is a strange province known as the High Lava Plains where, during the last 15,000 years, repeated large outpourings of lava have occurred from multiple complexes, leading to a cluster of black lava fields so large that they are each visible from orbit. The most remarkable of these young lava fields can be found 8 miles northwest of the small community of Diamond, from which it originates, part of its name being known as the Diamond Craters. At this very location, approximately 7,500 years ago, a singular 5-year-long eruption would create everything volcanic you can see, involving both diffusive and explosive activity. This sustained eruption not only led to some areas being buried by more than 300 feet thick of lava, but also by an additional 60 feet thick of ash on top of it. So, why exactly did such a voluminous eruption occur in the 6 millennia BCE? The answer relates to an abnormality regarding the same force driving the volcanoes in the Cascade Range, the subducting Juan de Fuca tectonic plate. Although the exact reason why this occurred is unclear, in geologically recent times, a small portion of the Juan de Fuca plate was unexpectedly pulled downwards at a steeper angle. As a result, viscous material in the mantle was quickly forced into the empty space the plate once held, creating a curved motion that pulled molten rock upwards. Fairly sizable volumes of the molten rock pulled upwards by this action subsequently intruded into the crust, some of which eventually erupted, forming the volcanoes of the high lava plains. In the year 5555 BCE, a 3.7-mile-long dike, aka a long and thin body of magma, intruded into the crust, causing cracks to form on the surface paralleling its north-northwest orientation. As a plume of gas emerged from the ground along multiple points, it was only a matter of time before an eruption began. After an initial explosion, lava shot several hundred feet into the air at a point which we now associate with the center of the Diamond Craters complex. Subsequently, the lengthy fissure unzipped in both directions, causing an ever-expanding length of the fissure to be erupting lava at a high rate. This continued until a 15,000-foot-long stretch of ground was erupting lava at a combined rate of upwards of 200 cubic meters per second. As lava poured out, it spilled over in all directions, quickly filling low-lying areas and dozens of feet thick of molten rock and covering areas up to 3 miles away. Yet, as the eruption progressed, parts of the lengthy fissure complex became dominant, first forming a cluster of a half-dozen vents, but as the days progressed, this whittled down to a single central vent. By then, the rate of lava effusion had decreased to around 4 cubic meters per second, eventually causing a complete pause in eruptive activity. As thick lava flows began solidifying on the surface, a few months would follow until unexpectedly a new batch of magma intruded right below the original ground level. As this magma continuously intruded underneath a layer of sedimentary rock, it built in volume and caused the overlying rock to be pushed upwards. This greatly cracked wide swaths of overlying lava, pushing it upwards by as much as 200 feet over a few months to form 6 large domes. The very magma which caused this doming soon approached the surface, where it interacted with groundwater that had developed during the eruption pause. The heat generated by this magma caused patches of groundwater to flash to steam, and since the same massive steam takes up more than 1,000 times the volume of the water it once was, it caused an immense amount of pressure to build. This pressure eventually became sufficient to crack overlying rock, generating a powerful explosion which carved out a several hundred-foot wide crater. Over the following 3 years, this process will repeat 89 more times, forming what are known as maars and causing several feet thick of ash to be dispersed over the surrounding landscape. At the latter stage of this phase, areas which were now groundwater poor became the site of ever-growing cinder cones which ejected bombs of lava over a 1-mile radius in a Strombolian manner and produced intermittent ejections of ash. One such cinder cone that formed during this phase is today known as the Little Red Cone. After these ceased, the underlying shallow magma clustered underneath what was the dominant spatter cone in the original fissure which initially erupted. This magma was unusually volatile and gas-rich when compared to the beginning of the ongoing eruptive sequence. As a result, when this magma rose towards the surface, no lava actually emerged, as instead what used to be lava was pulverized and shattered by the expanding gases, causing a sustained plume of ash to rise to a height of 10,000 feet. Ash from this plume quickly began falling across the surrounding landscape, completely coating the near vent area in several feet thick of ash. At this point, the eruption looks somewhat like the last month of Cumbre Vieja's 2021 eruption, completely coating the nearby landscape in a layer of finely grained ash. Although activity regularly waned and intensified, near-continuous ash emissions likely continued for a period of 3 to 5 months. By the time this central vent shaped like a cinder cone had ceased erupting, as much as 60 feet thick of ash had fallen, although the thickness of ash quickly fell off to only trace amounts beyond a distance of 3 miles. I want to note here that ash may very well have accumulated at more than trace amounts at much further distances than 3 miles away. Just if this was ever true, then this fact was erased from the geologic record via subsequent precipitation. After another brief pause in the eruption, magma migrated to the southeast, east, and northeast, causing the shallow magma chamber to become partially empty. As a result, there was now only air where molten rock once was, meaning it could no longer support the weight of overlying rock. The overlying rock subsequently collapsed downwards, forming a caldera. The formation of this caldera did not occur in an instant, but rather across a month, as underlying lava slowly erupted via a series of flank vents. Lava output then became intermittent until it stopped altogether. In total, about 0.15 cubic kilometers of ash had been emitted, along with 1.6 cubic kilometers of lava, covering 70 square kilometers of high desert. Although the spectacular diamond craters have not erupted since, a nearby region may one day erupt again. My justification for this claim is that with the current exception of the diamond craters, all of the other young lava fields in the high lava plains occur as clusters of 2 or more closely spaced systems. Thus, while I do not expect the area encompassing the current lava flow coverage of the diamond craters to ever erupt again, there is always a future possibility of the next eruption occurring within a radius of 20 miles of the diamond crater's vents. The next eruption could be equally as explosive, damaging nearby homes and farmland and potentially disrupting regional air traffic. Yet, due to the frequency of eruptions at other clusters of lava fields in the high lava plains being as low as once every 50,000 to 100,000 years, the US Geological Survey gave the diamond craters a designation as a very low-threat volcano. Today, the remnants of this spectacular eruption can be visited as part of the diamond crater's outstanding natural area. I have linked the relevant Bureau of Land Management webpage in this video's description. I hope you enjoyed this extended duration video, as I thought there was simply too much information on this volcano to fit into a single 5-minute video. As a final note, I would like to thank my new patron Groh for supporting this channel.